Hi, Kerrie.
Hi, Annie. Happy Easter.
You too. We've got people on, but we've got no
We do.
messages yet.
No comments yet. Maybe it might be lagging behind a little
Hey,
bit.
hello.
Hello. Hi, Esther. Hi, Veronica. Yay.
Magic. Hi,
Happy
Wendy.
Easter. Happy Easter.
I
Hope
thought you'd all
everyone's,
be honest.
hope everyone's enjoyed their day today, whatever you were doing, whether that was relaxing or spending some time with family and friends or um, doing whatever housework or yard cleanup that you want to do for the Easter long weekend or some adventure. But thank you for coming along tonight, spending a little bit of the Easter Sunday with us.
Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Myrtle. Got my dates wrong with Myrtle. Thought it was tomorrow. It's not till next month. Still sending you healing and love. It's all good. Hi, Gail. Hi, Ray. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Marianne. Hi, Ray. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Tracy. And I know my sister Marie's out there watching, but she hasn't got chat.
Hi, Marie.
Hi,
How are you
Marie.
on your holiday?
Oh, look, there she is. Happy Easter. Oh. So tonight is an interesting night, and we're going to talk about mediumship and spirit communication tonight. And it's probably a really interesting topic when you think that we're actually doing this Easter Sunday night. But for me, I just see this as honouring what Jesus taught us, if we look at what the meaning of today is. Because Jesus taught us the way. He actually came here on part of a journey to help us to learn how to stay connected with divine source God, divine source spirit energy of unconditional love. He also communicated with spirit when he was here. And past loved ones. He spoke to Elijah and Moses on the mountain. So he was also a medium and a clairvoyant and a healer and all those wonderful things. So actually I thought tonight was actually quite fitting to be doing mediumship.
It's quite interesting, Kerrie. We have we have the Church of the Latter-day Saints that come around, and we also have the Jehovah's Witnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep sending me. They won't come in, either because I've got a Celtic Tarot sign up on my fence, or because I've got two mad dogs that go woofy crazy, but they don't come through my gate. But they send me mail, and in the
Right.
mail, it's really interesting. In the mail, they send me these brochures and pamphlets and tracts telling me that I'm evil and I'll go to hell.
Look,
And I
you
just,
know,
I just think, well, you
you
know,
know,
each to their own, and that's
yes,
fine.
you know, and everyone has their own pathway and their own journey.
It's fine. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I think they're scared of me.
and I think I may have shared with you before that, you know, we had them come around and knock on my door. And I'm sure because I actually had a Harmony for Tranquility sign outside at the time, and I'm sure they were thinking we need to save this person. And I invited them in and made them a cup of tea. And we sat around and actually had a bit of a conversation. And I was asking them, you know, about their beliefs and about, you know, a few things with that. And they were talking about, you know, well, do you believe in reincarnation? And I said, well, actually, I do think that we may choose to come back to live more than one physical lifetime on the earth plane, simply because you can't learn everything or experience everything necessarily in one lifetime. And it's part of that spiritual journey to unconditional love. And they just sort of looked at me. And I said, well, Jesus doesn't teach that. And I said, well, hang on a minute. I'm going to stop you there. Please explain to me, right? Jesus was at the Mount of Olives, And he went to the top of the mountain, and he had two of the disciples with him who stayed at the bottom, and they were watching what was going on. And when Jesus was at the top of the mountain, he was speaking with both Elijah and Moses. And he came down the mountain, and he spoke to the disciples, and the disciples said to him, "Oh, you know, should we make you some chairs to sit on?" And he was sort of saying no. And they asked him, you know, Jesus, if you are the teacher, if you are the Messiah, you know, which is what a teacher is, if you are the teacher, then didn't they prophesy in Old Testament that Elijah would return to pave the way for the Son of God? And Jesus responded with, he did. You just didn't recognize him. So in that moment, was Jesus telling them, and I'm just posing the question here, right, that Elijah reincarnated as John the Baptist, who baptized with water before the one that would baptize with the Holy Spirit? Was that not reincarnation? So they really couldn't answer that for me, and I asked them to go away and ask their elders, and more than welcome to come back and give me an answer to that question. I am still waiting. And that was maybe 6 years ago that they knocked on my door. Anyway, there's my story around that. Pretty crazy, right? Hi, Joyce from Gladstone. So lovely to see you here joining us.
It is. I actually got an email from somebody in Gladstone today asking us when we were coming back. So we're coming back in October.
Yes,
so
we
hopefully
are.
we'll get to see you again.
Yeah.
So let's get going.
Okay, so Annie's going to take us through a quick meditation tonight, aren't you, Annie?
I am. Because we're doing the mediumship stuff, and because the way everybody operates is different, and how people get their messages is different, I'm going to do my joining the Clairs meditation. And it's the one I do every single day because the messages come through in so many different ways. So no matter what way you get your messages, whether you're clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, clair whatever, this joins everything up. So one way or another, messages should come through to you. So we'll do what I did the last time, Kerrie, and if you just want to follow me when I do my thing. Okay. So get yourself comfortable. I learned something today as well. When we're sitting straight in our chairs with our feet on the floor and our hands in our lap, this is called the Egyptian meditation position. So there you go. So what I need you to do, please, is big deep breath in and sigh it out. And as you do that, consciously relax. Feel your body go soft. Make everything go gentle. I want you to imagine that there's a column of white light coming from Father Sky down through the top of your head, down through your neck, down through your shoulders and arms, into your hands, down through the center of your body, down into your buttocks, down your thighs, down your knees, down your calves and shins, ankles and heels, into your feet. Send that white light deep, deep down into Mother Earth. And breathe. I want you to pull the red light of Mother Earth up through the soles of your feet, up through your legs, up round your knees, up through your thighs, into your buttocks, up through your belly, up through your torso, into your heart, where it meets the white light, of Father Sky and turns everything rose gold. Pull the rose gold up through your shoulders, up through your neck, up through your head, out through the top, and let it join with the glorious white light of Father Sky. Big deep breath. Divine Spirit, I open my hands to you.
I open my hands to you.
I open my heart to you.
I open my heart to you.
I open my throat to you.
I open my throat to you.
I open my mouth to you.
I open my mouth to you.
I open my ears to you.
I open my ears to you.
I open my third eye to you.
I open my third eye to you.
I open my crown to you.
I open my crown to you.
I ask my guides and angels, the ancestors and ancients, family and friends to join with me. I feel your presence at my left shoulder. I know you're with me. It is my intention to do everything I do with love. I ask for your protection and trust that it will be so. I thank you for the many blessings bestowed upon me. Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Okay,
Annie. Thank you.
I'm all tingly now.
Me too. So that was a lovely alignment and connection. Did everyone feel a shift in the energy? I'm just looking for people's comments on that, because I certainly felt that shift. So the clearing of the chakras, our energy system, the connection to divine source whilst remaining grounded and
It also
inviting
provides,
our guides in. Yeah,
it provides a connection to each other as well.
absolutely. Yeah, it does. That's how I feel, Sarah, much lighter. Yeah, that's lovely. So thank you, Annie, because that's a beautiful segue into the first part of what I wanted to share, really, for our topic tonight on developing the gift of mediumship. And I've actually got a little bit of a presentation to try and keep me on track, because it's a subject that if you let me talk about this, 3 hours later we might finish this live stream. so this is to keep me on track, guys. So I'm just going to add this to the stream, and hopefully you will be able to see this. So when we're talking about developing the gift of mediumship and also spirit communication, because they do go hand in hand with each other. You can do one without the other, of course, but quite often when you're developing this skill, you'll first and at the same time as connecting, being able to connect with loved ones when they're available to visit, you will also connect with your guardian angel, your spirit guides, the angels, the archangels. So there are a number of communications that can occur on that level, as well as mediumship. So the first thing to share really is what my guides have always termed to me as the different types of energies or spiritual energies and beings that can come in and into contact through communication. So they talk about, firstly, our guardian angel. Now, prior to us deciding to be born into the earth plane or to animate the physical body with our soul essence, we do come with a plan for our life, that there are certain lessons that we want to learn along the way, and that's part of our spiritual journey. Of course, there's free will, and we can decide and make choices in our lives, but things will come up that are part of that journey. So your guardian angel helps you. They're like a GP, like the general practitioners, right? They're trying to keep you guided in a general way on your journey, right? To help you move along the things that you wanted to learn in this lifetime, in this physical experience. So they're like a GP for your life. So they will be there with you before you're born, and they are also there to assist you on passing over, and your loved ones will be there as well with that passing over, but also your guardian angel is there as well. Then there are spirit guides and angels, and of course the archangels. Now, they're not with you all of the time, and my guides have described them to me like going to see a specialist, right? So when you have a particular need, and when you have something that you're working on, or you want an answer to, or you're asking spirit and the universe to provide you with assistance, then those that are a specialist in that area can step in and communicate with you to try and help you with that part of your journey. And they can be there in the blink of an eye, really, really fast. And when they're no longer needed, they move on to where else they need to be. So that's sort of describing how that works. Now, they exist on the angelic planes. So in order to communicate, we need to raise our energy and they lower theirs, and we meet sort of in that as high as we can be, as low as they can be, and we're meeting in that astral plane. Right? So how that works. Now, when it comes to loved ones can, come and visit us, right? Absolutely they can, and they do. But can also be, and our ancestors can come as well. So we're talking now about loved ones, someone that we've spent a physical lifetime with, whether they're blood related, a friend or a friend of a friend, it can work that way as well. Or the ancestors, your ancestors can come through as well as loved ones for this type of communication. Now, that can be a little bit different. They may try and communicate with you just naturally through synchronicities and by giving signs, but a medium can communicate with them directly. So it's a more direct form of communication with our loved ones. But when we tune into our loved ones, or we ask them to come and communicate with us, it may not be that they appear within the blink of an eye, the way the spirit guides do it. It's not how it works. In a way, it's sort of similar to the earth plane. So when they first pass over, they may do a life review. They may have a residual energy of an illness that they had in the physical realm, or things to work through from the physical realm, in which case they may be in the halls of healing and working through those so that they can leave those earthly things behind, because they no longer need to carry that into the spirit realm. Or they could be in the halls of teaching and learning, or simply spending time with other loved ones' soul essence in the astral realm and enjoying those heavenly realms. So they may not always be available. But I'm going to add something in here that my trusty guides gave me while I was doing my hair for this live stream, and this is where this bit jumps in. And that is, my guides reminded me tonight that when you're thinking of someone and you're putting that energy out there, so you're thinking of them, which is when that thought process of them is connected to that person's energy, that of course that's like a frequency. So you're tuning into their frequency, whether they're here in the physical or whether they're in the spiritual, right? So if you give them time to respond to that, they can come in. But it's also our job to be in the right space and the right energy to be able to recognize when they're there and prepare ourselves to communicate with them directly. So the onus is a little bit more on us there to recognize that, because it is harder for them to come through. But you're tuning into their frequency. And Spirit said the reverse is also the same. So you may just be doing something, and then the thought of one of your loved ones that has passed just pops into your head out of nowhere, or something happens and you hear a song and it just reminds them. And that's because they are thinking of you and sending you energy from the other side, and they're tuning into your frequency and you're picking up on that. Okay, so that's what they wanted me to add in about how that frequency works. So how do we develop the gift of mediumship so that we can be open to receive direct communication from our loved ones when they are visiting us? Sorry, guys. It is all about preparing ourselves and being in a space to communicate, whether that be with our spirit guide, our guardian angel, or our loved ones, depending on who comes through for our higher good and our highest intention at that time. So it's part of that process. Now, I am going to give you a bit of a please do this in a safe way. So I want to put that out there, right? As you get more experienced with communication with spirit and with mediumship, you will know when you're in the right energy. But when you're learning this and you're developing it, I'm going to give you a couple of hints and tips so that you're not putting yourself in, you're not at a lower energy. And I'll explain what I mean. So don't sit down and communicate if you are under the influence of alcohol. Now, alcohol lowers our vibrational level, and therefore we are more likely to open ourselves up and to communicate with energies that are not in that higher area. So you always want to be able to raise your energy to do that, and alcohol can influence that. So I just want to put that one out there. The other one is the beautiful mini meditation, cleansing, clairs joining technique that Annie just took us through. Right? So you felt the energy shift. You can feel that lightness and you can feel the shift in the energy, which is absolutely perfect. She also said that she was removing resistance and being open to receiving the messages through the words that she shares, through the voice, through the heart, through the feeling, through the vision, through the third eye, through hearing, clairaudience, and opening up that higher inspiration. So she has done all that in that mini meditation, which is awesome. And then she invited the guides and angels, loved ones and ancestors to come and stand by us, to join us and to help guide us in what we're doing. So that was a beautiful way to, one, cleanse and clear the auras, so you're bringing yourself to that higher level, and two, also ask for the protection of guides, angels and loved ones. So that's a great way to do it. What I've got on the screen now is the technique that I use as a cleansing technique. And the cleansing technique, the first one, is about clearing the chakras. And I have done this technique before, and there is a video that is on my YouTube playlist about this. So we won't need to do this tonight because Annie's already taken us through this alignment, but I'm just going to do a real quick demo for you. So for that, I'm just going to rub the center of my third eye here as an activation, and I'm saying this out loud. In the name of God, I cleanse my body and I shake it out. Under the throat chakra, over the crown, and I cleanse my soul back to under the throat chakra. Shake it out. Now again, you'll feel a tingle or a shift or a warmth, whatever that shift is for you, or a lightness, whatever that shift is for you, it will always be the same. So you'll always be able to recognize when you've moved into that higher level of energy. So that's the technique that I use. Now, You can change the wording of that, of course. So if it's not God for you, you know, universal divine source, this divine source of unconditional love, you know, it's about the intention, right, of reaching for those higher levels of consciousness. Okay, that's what it's about. And then I also do a prayer of protection. And in the prayer of protection, I put an example here for you as well, just on the side of how to change that wording if it's not Jesus Christ and God for you, that you could use in the name of divine source, energy of unconditional love. And I call upon spiritual beings of the highest intentions for good, right? So I'm showing you how you can change it. It's about the intention. So then I would be asking for that protection. In the name of Jesus Christ, I call upon God's angels of light to stand guard at the doorway of my soul, to guide me in the ways of truth, love, and light, and protect me against the forces of darkness and deception. Amen. So again, I'm asking them to stay in my energy, to help me communicate and connect on that higher level. And that I can discern my energy levels and know that I am communicating with who I'm expecting to communicate with or asking to communicate with. Annie, did you want to add anything in while I take 2 breaths?
Yeah. I've recently come to angels, mostly through my sister, because my sister was an angel child, and she's the one that I've got one of her beautiful angels. Mine has always been spirit guides, and my protection is my gatekeeper. So I have a gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper it's the same as yours, though, Kerrie. Like I've got my guide that's been with me all the way through, and then I have my gatekeeper who's my protection, and then I've got a healing guide as well. So I've got a teacher, a healer, and a gatekeeper. My teacher's the one, God love them, that is with me all the way through. My gatekeepers come and go, and I feel that my gatekeepers come and go because as my energy levels raise, somebody else will step in, so they're different. With having your guides come to you, one of the things you can do is when I ask my guides to come and stand with me, guides and angels and everybody to come and stand with me, I can feel it down this arm, and I can feel their presence. I can feel them beside me. You can ask for a touch or an aroma or anything, something, will you touch my hair? Will you give me a sign? Make me hot, make me hot, because I get really hot, really hot.
Yeah.
Like it can be freezing and I'm sweating, but I can feel them beside me. And around all of this mediumship stuff, with everything else that we do, like every medium is psychic, but not every psychic is a medium.
Correct.
It's 2 completely different levels. So what we're trying to do, if we've been playing with tarot or psychic commentary or all the other bits and pieces, they're all tools. I feel that the most important thing for you to remember around this is about pure trust.
Correct.
It's about pure trust. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it. You just have to believe. And there's a saying that says, you have to see it to believe it. I flip it on its head and say, you have to believe it to see it.
Correct.
So however it works for you.
100%, Annie, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. However it feels for you.
And then look, Esther's saying the same thing, master guide, which I may refer to as a guardian angel. So it's the same sort of thing, just our own terminology, a gatekeeper, yes, like your specialists that come in and work with you when you're working in a particular area, exactly as Annie just described. And it can be along other guides and angels that are coming in to work with you. So, yeah,
Now,
100%. Love that.
Shazza wants to ask a question. Can you type it in, Shaz?
Yeah.
We don't have a call-in tonight, so we're kind of flying blind here.
Yeah.
Sarah Smile a while. What a great name.
Okay. So, oh, look, there's our beautiful Annie. I'm so naughty, aren't I? Yes.
That's
In
a
her beautiful
beautiful crystal
amethyst
amethyst
cave.
orb that I'm sitting in. Yeah, that
You
was
know, I
glorious.
love that cave, don't you? You know, we're going to
Yeah, I
have
love
one
it.
day. Okay. So, so the first step. So, step one, do your cleansing and your prayer of protection. Step two, do your favorite meditation. Now, Annie just combined both of those with a mini meditation. So you're in that nice space to be able to work. But you can separate them out. So you can do your cleansing and prayer of protection, what Annie did, and you can follow it by a longer meditation. Now, with this meditation, I personally, and you can do whatever favorite one that you have, but personally for me, I like one where I actually go into the light and I'm totally sitting surrounded in the beautiful light. And then I can invite my guides and loved ones to join me in the light. So that I'm there for a period of time and I can feel that energy and connect to their energy around me. And that sort of meditation, just for me personally, helps me to communicate following the meditation. So, but you don't need to do that. You've done your work with Annie up front the way that she has done it with that, and that's just as good.
Okay. Shazza, I'm really, really sorry for your loss. With this is weird. I had a communication with a guy called Jimmy. Now he was Scottish, and like in Scotland, everybody's called Jimmy. But this man that my husband committed suicide. My ex-husband committed suicide, and I had this man come, and Jimmy was an alcoholic, and he said that when he was here, he wasn't a good man; he was a bad man, and he drank and he did a lot of shit that he shouldn't have done. But what he said and how I got this message was that it was his job to look after people who had successfully suicided. And that was his job on the other side. And they have some work that they have to do because, and I don't mean this is all just my take on this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful by saying this, but when they wake up dead, sometimes they're in shock, and he meets them, and it's his job to help them to transition. And sometimes it can take a little while, like Kerrie spoke earlier of the halls of learning. And sometimes it can take a little while for them to actually get their self and their energy together because there are lessons that they still have to learn. So
It is a hard one.
and I feel I truly have been broken. I have been broken. But sometimes it just takes a while. The other thing that I can say is that the majority of people, like I've always wanted communication from my dad, and I've never ever got it because we had no unfinished business. When he passed, I had said every single thing I needed to say, and so had he. So we had no unfinished business. But if you have unfinished business, that's more likely for people to come back. So I would
Yeah.
say give him time. I would also say forgive them. because sometimes it's, and this is also harsh, but again, my personal experience, sometimes for that person, it's the best possible outcome because they've done what they needed to do and things will only get worse. And sometimes they just have to be let go. So
it's a difficult one. And when you do mediumship work, you are going to be working with the loved ones who may have unfinished business, who may have things that were left unsaid, who may have left in really sad or tragic circumstances. That is part of the incredible work that, you know, you can call it a gift, but it takes a special person to be able to be that connection for someone as well, you know, but working in mediumship can provide. Look, and Shazza, I totally understand where you are right in this moment. The best thing you can do, if you can, is to continue to send them your love because that helps to balance their energy, particularly the shock that they've left the physical world so quickly and entered spirit realm where they still exist, and that can be a bit of a shock. So to try and send them your love to them. And I have been here with this. I lost my brother, sadly, to suicide. And his home, which was then in the will given or returned to my parents at that time, they weren't sure what to do. And I lived in that home for 2 years, and he visited on and off through those 2 years. And it was a matter of working with him. Now, he did then go to the halls of healing. The best way for me to, when your heart is so broken, to open up and support or be that communication if they are still around and haven't moved with their spirit guides or loved ones through to the halls of healing to work through those things just yet. If they are around, then the best way is to stay in that space of love. If you can bring them to mind and imagine your love washing over their energy, that cannot help open up the communication. Now, having said that, it's interesting because earlier today my guides made me write down something else on here that I thought that's a strange thing for them to ask me to write down because I didn't think there'd be a need to talk about that tonight. But obviously they know better than I do, because what they wanted to remind me is that when we are born into this world, our family that are here in the physical realm, right, celebrate our birth. And that when someone passes over, the family in spirit realm also celebrates their return to spirit. Now, in this particular case, with a passing at someone's own hand, it may not be an immediate celebration because there's a time of adjustment, but that will still occur when that spirit, when that person, their soul essence is ready for that. In the interim, family is there to love and support them just as they would here in the physical plane. So I wasn't sure why I got that message a bit earlier, but thank you, because that's still come through. So hopefully that's helpful to you, and hopefully it answers some questions for some other people that have joined us in chat as well. Okay. So step 3, communication. Now I'm going to take you through the steps of communication. So quick recap. Step 1, we have raised our energy, we've connected, and we've asked our guardian angel, our spirit guides, our gatekeepers, our specialists to come in, and our ancestors and loved ones. We're opening up to communicate with them. So this is a simple method that you can use to practice this when you've done those things. So following the meditation, have a notebook and a pen at hand. Okay, very important. right? So you're going to sit and relax, and you can close your eyes if it's easier. But have your pen and notebook ready, and do open your eyes if you're going to write something down so you can actually read it again later. Okay, so when you're still in that energy space, you're going to ask a series of questions and sit quietly and peacefully until the answer just pops into your head. The idea is, don't force a response to come back, right? Just continue to just focus on your breathing and allow an answer to pop in. Now, the main thing with this is that when you get something through, don't question it immediately, right or wrong. Oh, did that just come from me? Or did I really hear it from one of my guides? Or is there a loved one really saying that to me? Because if you do that, you're disconnecting yourself from the energy. You're putting in a short circuit, okay? So just stay in the flow. So whether it is something from you or something from spirit or something from a loved one, if it's of a higher level and it's good for you, it could just be your higher consciousness, then it doesn't really matter anyway. So allow it to flow, and as you get an answer to the question, just write it down and move on to the next question. Once you've closed communication, go back and scrutinize it all you want. Okay, like go back and question it all you want. But when you're in the moment for communicating, just let it flow in that. And during the exercise, and Annie touched on this before, we're also going to ask for a physical sign. So this could be a tingle in a certain spot. It could be the feeling of a light touch on your shoulder, or the gentle touch of someone's hand on your face. You know, it can come in a number of ways. But whatever that physical sign is for you, that spirit being has given you when they've identified themselves, will be the same physical sign that they give you every time they communicate with you. Now, where that actually comes in a bit handy is you can be working in this space, or you could be working with someone else, and you will be given the physical sign, and your guides will be say, hey, listen to me, and you know who you're working with, right? So it's a good way to actually get to know who you're working with as well. Now, this technique is not automatic writing, right? I want to make that clear. You're not sitting there with the pen, just breathing in and out, and letting the pen move. We're not allowing energy to take control of us physically in that way. We're doing it like a dictation, right? So we're asking the question, we're sitting and waiting for the answer, and then we're writing it down, okay, like a dictation. So it's two different methods. It is not automatic writing. Okay. So the questions can be said out loud or in your mind, because you're now connected with the higher energy planes where everything exists in energy and thought form. So you can communicate in either way. But in starting out, I do recommend that you ask the questions out loud, because it shows your intent for the communication, and voice is a frequency. So by putting your voice to the question into the energy space, you're amplifying that frequency for the communication between you and them. Okay, so if you have your pens and notebooks handy, we're going to do a couple of questions exercises. Okay, so just waiting for a couple of people to say, yes, got pen and notebook, Kerrie, let's do this. You want to do this? Or I'll just take you through the method. Oh, everyone's run away. I've lost you all.
Oh, they're back. They're coming back.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah,
Thank you,
they're coming back.
Shazza. Thank you, Myrtle. Okay, so now we're in this lovely energy space. I want you to ask the question, who is with me? And then I want you to close your eyes and just focus on your breathing and allow a name to pop into your head. when you receive a name, write it down. Now, don't second guess yourself. Just breathe, let it flow. When a name pops in, jot it down. We maybe get a couple of little thumbs up if you have already received a name, and if you haven't, don't panic, it's okay. Don't force it. It's a matter of patience and just sitting quietly to listen. Okay, thank you. All right. The next question you're going to ask is around, it's a protection question, because you want to make sure that you are communicating with the higher level energies, spiritual beings that are connected to divine source energy and are there for the highest intent of good. So if it's not God for you or Jesus Christ, please change it around. I've got another example underneath that says you can change this to, are you aligned with divine source energy with the highest intent for good? So ask out loud either one of those two questions, and then we're going to sit quietly and wait for a response. It may be a direct yes, it may be a symbol such as a white light or a golden light. They may show themselves to you in a golden light. It can come through in several ways. And if you have a response to that, maybe another thumbs up. I'll start watching them again now so I know. So we're asking, do you walk in God's light and answer to the name of Jesus Christ? Or we may be asking, are you aligned with divine source energy with the highest intent for good? Okay, that's great.
Can I flip this back one?
Sure.
If you didn't get a name, you may have got a scent or a picture. Kerrie often speaks of chrysanthemums, geraniums,
Yeah, hydrangeas. Yeah,
hydrangeas, and all of
hydrangeas.
these fluffy flowers. And when she sees them, she knows it's her grandma. Sometimes I get a smell, and I associate that smell with my auntie. It's Lily of the Valley, which is a really old, beautiful perfume. So sometimes if you don't get a name, it might just be an image or a scent or a feeling for those of you who are clairsentient. So don't worry if you don't get a name. I know people that have worked with their guides for hundreds of years and they've got no idea what their names are because it doesn't matter.
Correct. That's exactly right. So you'll often get a symbol. The main thing is that when you feel that energy connection, you're staying in that energy level and you can feel that raised energy. And you had the words, the flowers came through. Yeah, beautiful, Kerrie. Yes, and quite often Spirit will try to use a combination of those as well as you're developing this. Okay, so now we're going to ask for the physical sign. So we're just going to simply ask, and if they've given you a name, use the name, right? Name, please give me a physical sign. And then just sit quietly and patiently, clear your mind, and wait for a touch or a sensation or a smell or a symbol. And write that down. And if you've received a physical sign, if you could give another thumbs up or a yes, that would be great. Know for myself, one of my guides does just run their finger down the side of my face. And I know who that is. Another one that feels like I've got a touch on the shoulder, and I know where they are behind me. It can be very subtle, guys. But if you can become aware of that, you can also become aware of their calling sign. Okay. Now, if it is a loved one or a spiritual being that has had a physical lifetime, then you could ask them what age they were when they passed over or how they passed over. So now we're moving into some information that can help identify them. And you would work with these sorts of questions when you're trying to discern who a spirit being is that's trying to connect with someone that you're reading for. Right? So these are the sorts of questions that you would use for that. Now, if you're working with spirit guides and the angels, they may never have had a physical lifetime. They've always been in spirit realm. So they may say to you that they've always worked in spirit, but they will give you an answer of some form. Okay. And then the last question that I tend to ask, and then I make this very open. So I ask them, why did you want to communicate with me, and what message would you like to share? And then I sit quietly and take it like a dictation. Yeah, heat on your back, Joyce. Yes, so they're very warm. They're stepping into your energy space. Now, that is for this spiritual being that's communicating with you right now. That will be the same physical sign that they will give you every time that they communicate with you, right? So they're very good with that. So that means you can start to recognize who you're working with, who you're communicating with. So, so with this one, you can open it right up and you can ask for any information, and you could just ask them to tell you or share with you what their main message for you is tonight, that we have a short time to communicate. What would that main message be? Now, remembering it could be a symbol for you. It could be words. It could be a feeling. Could be a visual picture. Can come through in many ways when they try to communicate. Sometimes it's almost like putting those puzzle pieces together. So receiving it and then interpretation is separate, but just allow it to flow to receive it. Write down what you're seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing, and then you can try and discern it and make sense of what that message was later to interpret. Now, when you communicate frequently, they can give you full sentences, and it really is like dictation. And sometimes they talk so fast that you can't even read your own writing afterwards because you've had to write so fast to keep up. Okay. So from there, if you were practicing this, you could then ask any number of questions. Like, it's really limitless. You know, that level you've now opened up for that communication, it's limitless what they could share with you. They could be there for you as a teacher. It could be a loved one wanting to pass on a message, which is the mediumship side of it. And it can be varied. And depending on what they're talking to you about can depend on those questions. Yeah, Esther, I agree. It's like playing charades using telepathy, 100%. You are so right. Okay, so because we only have a short time tonight to do this, we're going to go through how to close down that energy as well, and how to disconnect from that communication. And it is important that we do that and we take our energy back, because if you're in that space, they're just going to keep talking to you if they can keep that connection with you. Okay, so we're going to learn how to shut that down. So at the conclusion of the communication, thank the spirit energy, and if they've given you a name, use their name. So it's just like you would with the same common courtesy if you're talking to someone physically. So thank them for communicating with you. Let them know that I'm going to close communication now. So say that and say that out loud. And you may close your eyes to do that if you wish. Now, once you have done that, I want you to take a few deep breaths. I want you to become fully aware of your physical body, your feet on the floor, the feel of the chair beneath you. I want you to breathe in, pulling the red earth energy up from your feet, through your torso and into your heart, where it merges with the white light energy of source that you've been connected to during communication. Feel your energy grounding you back to your physical body and in this space and time. And when you are ready, you may open your eyes.
Sometimes having a drink of water helps as well.
Absolutely. Guys, there is a workbook that I've put together, but I do want to flip it across to Annie first, so it might be a couple of days before you get this one if you're interested in it, because I'd like Annie just to have a look through it and add some of her flavour into it as well. And Annie, something that you brought up was other ways to practice spirit communication and mediumship, and talking about using photos. Did you want to talk about that as a method as well?
Yeah. Actually, the best way to do this is to sit in circle. It really helps if you're sitting in a circle with other people, particularly if you've got someone who has the skills to guide you through this stuff. When you're sat in circle, like, it's really hard to do this when you're all by yourself. When you're sat in circle and you go through these exercises, it actually helps because it raises everybody's energy. Like Kerrie and I do, I do a gathering and we have 8 or 10 people there, and everybody's energy links, joins, and rises. So any of this stuff is easier. But if you are trying to do this on your own, if you get 2 or 3 photographs of loved ones and put them into individual envelopes, all the exact same, shuffle them, put them in front of you, and pick one up. So with that, see what you feel. Is there one person in the photo? Is there more than one person in the photo? Work out who it is. It says it all here. Ask questions and sense which one of your loved ones is working with you. Now, you may not necessarily get any kind of communication from this. This is more about you using your skills to enhance and develop your recognition, because you're going to have to recognize people from what Esther said, charades, you know. So if you can do this, and it's about, I call it going in and under, it's about tuning in to the energy of that photograph and work out who it is. Now, sometimes you might not get it right the first time, but eventually it's just all about practice. Everything is all about practice. Um, is that your last slide, Kerrie?
It is. That is the last slide, yeah.
Some of the other ways to do this, psychometry is a really, really good way. If you use psychometry, where you hold the object. So metal holds energy probably better than anything else. It doesn't matter what it is. So if you hold an object that belongs to somebody, particularly if you're reading for somebody else, and you hang on to the object, you can feel the energy in the object. And again, it's about tuning in and it's about trust, you know.
Yes.
So everything around this is about trusting, because that's all you've got here. You don't have other tools. And
That's right.
sometimes, you know, I've said the most ridiculous things to people. Now, for me, mediumship is really hit or miss. And that's not directly my fault, because sometimes spirit is busy and doesn't want to communicate. And it's not like you can lift the phone and say, I want to speak to my Uncle Joe.
No.
If I'm reading for somebody and they choose to come in, then that's what happens. I had a young woman come, and she was in a dreadful state. And no sooner, and I said to her, like, I'm really honest about this. I said, you know, like, I do cards. And no sooner had she sat down than her husband, who had passed 2 days before, just went whack and there. And I had to say all this stuff. And of course, I had no idea what I was talking about, you know. And I mean, at one point, I said to her, he chose to go. And she said, they said he was going to be okay. And I said, he's telling me he chose to go. And she kind of worked that out, because he was 32 and he did have a choice. And he didn't want to stick around because he was going to be not who he was before. There had been, you know, really dreadful things had happened to him. So he just chose to go. And it's so you just have to say whatever it is that you get, and no filter, absolutely no filter. I said to a young woman one day, I've got sunflowers, and she said, oh, when Mum was here, she bought these sunflowers and she put them on the door of her bedroom. Her mum had only been gone for a short time as well, and she gave her a row and said, you know, we had this conversation that you weren't supposed to come home for my funeral, and you bloody well came home. And you're getting in trouble for that.
Yeah.
And I said, really cranky. And that was really interesting, because I was just sat here and I said to her, because I was doing cards and I thought, this is not working. And I said to her, why did you come? And she said, bereavement. And I said, who's Sue? And she went, oh my God, that's me mum. And that was it. Bang, I was on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, for me, it's just really, really random, you know, and it's such a privilege when it happens.
Yes.
You know, because like that young lady, both these young women left laughing and feeling much better
For the
than
conversation.
when they arrived, because it validated the fact that both mum and husband knew what was going on, knew what was happening, weren't far away.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was both of them were aware that with that young woman whose husband had passed, I took my finger and did this down her cheek. And that was when she totally lost it. And she said, that's what he used to do to put me to sleep at night. And I said to her, when you feel that, know that he's still there and he's still stroking your cheek and putting you to sleep. And I mean,
that's where the physical sign can mean so much, you know,
Yeah.
if you can know what that is. when they are visiting you and you feel that, you know that their energy is there. It can be a confirmation for you, which is really lovely to think about. When I was, as I said, I was getting ready and I ended up with an extra page of notes, right? Because my guides just kept telling me things. I was sort of thinking to myself today, I don't actually call myself a medium. I do see and communicate with spirit. And that can be those that have passed, so loved ones that have passed. And I communicate with guides and angels. But I don't necessarily call myself a mediumship because, like you, Annie, it depends whether they want to step in or not. If they want to step in, I'm open to receive it and I'll pass on as best I can the information in the way I'm interpreting it, and trying to give the message as exact as they give me, because it doesn't need to make sense to me. It only needs to make sense to the other person, as you were saying. But I don't really call myself a medium. But today, when I was thinking about that with my guides, they also said it's also about intention. So when they talk to me about when you're thinking about someone and you're putting the frequency out there, right, then it's like sending that radio wave out where if they choose to, they can tune in and come into your energy, right, and connect with that energy. It's about just tuning into their own unique frequency. So you can set an intention to invite them, to do that. And when people do work and platform, and you've seen lots of incredible mediums work and large audiences, loved ones, the loved ones that are there in the audience would have been sending out those messages saying, oh, I hope to hear from this person or that person. Sometimes someone comes through for them. It's not the person initially that they wanted. It's another one of their loved ones that comes through, and then it's through their energy that they're able to help the other person connect. And that's about an energy level connection thing that's actually going on at that time. So you can set your intention for that, but you can also set your intention if you want help for something, so I really want help with whatever that might be. Right? And so I'm going to invite my guides and angels to come in because I'm looking for help and guidance on blah, blah. Invite the specialists in too, as well as the loved ones, because they can help with that communication. So it's interesting that the guys brought up to me about intent as well. So I know some great mediums that I would call really, really have excellent skills developed in that space, where they really work in that space. But this is a little bit of an introduction and insight. But guys, if you work with this and you work with those initial tools for communication, and the more comfortable and trusting you get in understanding the symbols that they give you, how to interpret the information, how to put it together, you are opening up and developing those gifts that work in line with mediumship. So if your intention is to get there, you can then work with your guides and angels, who are the best teachers of all, right, to help you work on the lines of mediumship. So that's my best advice on that.
One of the other things, though, is have it, like, I'm back to Esther and her charades or charades, however you say it. With
2
the
words. First word.
book, oh God, my head's gone blank. Have a book, have a journal, because you remember when I was talking about doing tarot? Yeah, I've got the same one. When I was talking about doing tarot, and I give my tarot cards jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Kerrie thinks that's hysterical. I actually read something about that today as well. What I read about that today is, why would you trust someone else's interpretation when they're actually your cards?
Mm-hmm.
So giving them jobs is a good idea. But
Mm-hmm.
by the same token, if you associate your granddad with trains, now that might sound ridiculous, but I was doing a reading for somebody, and I said, and I was telling her all about this man, and I said to her, I can see my Uncle Bob. And she went, oh my God, my dad's name was Bob. It's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a reference point where you can say, geraniums are grandma,
Mm-hmm.
railways are granddad. Now, what's
Mm-hmm.
granddad's name? It's all about your perception and your referencing. And don't think just because I'm seeing my Uncle Bob and it can't possibly be him. For you and me, it's about working out the messages that you get and then
Yes.
trying to translate it into some kind of, it's like what Kerrie said, that jigsaw
Mm,
puzzle stuff,
mm,
which is why I've learned never filter. Because the
mhm,
minute, we're doing all this stuff and we're on a soul connection, but we've got
mhm,
ego and we've got this stupid thing in our head called a
mhm,
brain. And the minute your brain gets involved and thinks, what's she doing?
mhm,
You
mhm,
can't say that, you know, that's
mhm.
when it all goes to pot. So
Yeah.
it's really, really important that you don't let your head get in the way of this. Bob's
Mhm.
your uncle, which means to me an uncle figure. Yeah. The
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
thing that's really useful is if you can imagine like a family tree. So you've got mum and dad at the top, and then you've got, like the kids, but then you've got the grandparents all going out the way so that you
Mhm,
can place people.
mhm.
Because if you get a grandma come
Yeah.
through first and they've got a little one with them, that could be a grandchild, it could be their child, but you need to really um,
Mhm.
work out your own references. Like maybe the
Yes.
teapot's a reminder of your grandma because she never had the bloody teapot out her hand.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And or drinking tea all the time, but
Mhm,
you need to, because that's how
mhm.
you get the messages. You're going
Yeah.
to get pictures and visions and
Visions
stuff,
and
flowers, trains, buses, cars, motorbikes, all that stuff. And one of the ways that's really good for interpreting this, because if you faff around with your teacups, that more comes through to me when I've
mm,
got, I'll say to somebody, I've got a motorbike, who had a motorbike? The initial beside it is R, and they'll go, oh my God, that was my brother. He had a motorbike. And I'll say, and then all this information
yeah.
just starts to come through. It
Yeah.
just bang, 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 bang.
Because
So,
once that connection occurs and you're connecting into that unique soul essence frequency,
yeah,
that's when the
bang,
communication can occur. Yeah,
yeah.
that's when it's a bang. Exactly. And I was just, sorry, I was just laughing at Lorraine's comment there a second ago. Yep, like people stuck in a work toilet, Kerrie. And P.S. Mary only visits to say hi occasionally now, but it's nice to know her story. So this is where I went to Lorraine's workplace, where they felt that there was a few strange things going on there, doors opening, closing, that sort of thing. So I went in to try and communicate with the spirit there. They weren't overly keen on communicating, but by opening that space up, we could get a bit of a story about them and why they were still in that space, and hopefully help them move on. So it's good to know. We do believe they did move on that night. They did understand that they were now in spirit realm, but nice to know that they still visit because it was a special place to them. So yeah, so that's nice. So there is other work that you can do in this space as well.
And don't get all la-di-da and fancy, you
No.
know. Like I have staff meetings with my guides in the car on the way home from sessions.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey guys, I mean,
Yeah.
I talk to my guides the exact same way as I would talk to Kerrie or anybody on here.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, come on, like, give me a break here,
And
and it's not fancy.
and and loved
They,
ones are the same. It's
yeah,
not about putting a shadow of sadness on the energy of the thought or
yeah,
the communication with them, because really our soul essence, we are energy, and energy is never destroyed. It only changes form from one thing to another. Come on, guys, that's basic science. Even if you don't believe in spiritual stuff, science tells us that. So our energy sort is just changing form. So they just no longer have that physical being, but they still exist. Now, yes, with loved ones, obviously we miss them from our physical lives and for sharing the earth plane with us. That's normal, that's natural, that's our grieving. We wish they were right there and we could physically touch them. But there's still another way to connect and communicate, which is beautiful. And in talking about some of the symbolism, Something that my guides gave me when I was trying to work out who someone was is a tree. And they started putting parents, like, here's the person in the center of the tree, parents above them, left and right, maternal, paternal, right? Grandparents above that, siblings to the side, right? Cousins, etc., to just below that, and friends just out further on a limb, So they're trying to give me the picture of this family tree or connection tree as to where someone may sit, so I can work out who it is for somebody else. So guys, it's not going to be a lack of information coming through. Let me warn you, right? Once you start practicing this, the information will start coming through. That is not the hard part. The hard part is the interpretation and learning your symbols. And exactly as Annie said before, that's why journal's so important. The more you write this stuff down, the more you start to learn what symbols they're trying to give you, so that you can reflect on what it means for you, so that you can interpret faster.
Joyce, gatekeeper. My interpretation of what a gatekeeper does is that they protect you from any lower vibrations or energies coming through.
Mm-hmm.
So with Kerrie's prayer of protection and my asking for protection from the ancients, the ancestors and all that kind of stuff, that's a protection, and the prayer is also a protection. But you don't want to connect with spirits. Probably the easiest way to explain this, there's sort of 7 to 9 planes of existence. The lowest plane is the lowest vibrational level. We're about the 3rd plane. So when people pass away, they usually go to the 4th or 5th, depending on where they're at when they pass and how spiritually aware they are. Not very many people go from here to pure energy. You've got to work your way through to that. So that's why what Kerrie was saying earlier is we're trying to raise our energy and they have to lower their energy so that somehow or another we can meet. But there are people who get earthbound. They get stuck. There's people still fighting wars because they don't know they passed on and they just get stuck. There are people of lower levels who have got some work to do when they pass, before they can even get to anywhere. And there's also elementals, my ex-husband was an alcoholic, and he was a very good one. He was a functioning alcoholic. He got caught on Coronation Drive outside of the police station at Roma Street. He broke the station record for driving my car at 0.32 when he blew into the breathalyzer. The cops came and collected me because he broke the station record. The guy that picked him up called his wife to say, "Woohoo! I've got this bloke that broke the station record." Now, when he passed away, my first vision of him was he was curled up in a doorway, and there were all these little black impy things sucking on him. It was revolting. And it was like low elemental energies sucking the alcohol out of his body. And that was just a hellish vision and a hellish thing to see, But he had a whole lot of work to do. He successfully suicided after about 7 attempts, and was a train wreck, like literally was a train wreck. So your gatekeepers stop anything that shouldn't come in from getting in. They're the blockers. They're your protectors, and they're your protection. I ask my gatekeepers.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Esther. You can have multiple spirits wanting to communicate through you at the same time, and your gatekeeper, which I refer to my guardian angel, right? Actually cues them and works out who is the right to be communicating with me at any point in time. Correct. Yeah. So same. Yeah. Wow, we have gone really over tonight. So I'm so glad you all joined us on Easter Sunday and you gave up some of your time to come and join us. I hope that this is helpful to you. If you're not on our mailing list yet for the workbooks and you would like to receive our workbooks from these workshops that we're running through our live streams, we do give these away to you at no charge. All we ask is that you respect that they are our copyright and that you don't use them for use them for yourselves, share them with your family if you want to, the techniques, but please don't use them as a commercial thing yourselves. That's all we ask. We're more than willing to share them and we don't charge for these. If you would like to be on our mailing list, you can either contact myself at h4tc@iprimus.com.au, or you could contact Annie at, over to you, Annie.
Celtic.tarot3@gmail.com. So I've got a couple of people that actually have emailed me and that I've added to the email list.
Right.
Now, I'll send this out probably on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
If you send it through to me, Kerrie, I'll send it out
Yeah.
probably on Wednesday. So,
Yeah. So that would be really good. And Annie, do you just want to type your
yeah.
email address into chat so that people can actually just copy paste from there as well? Because I think that would be helpful. Yes, and I've added a few as well. So it doesn't matter who you contact, either Annie and I. We talk to each other probably more often than we should because we're naughty like that. But we'll share that information with each other and we make sure you're on all the mailing lists for the workbooks, depending on who's developed the workbook, and one or the other of us send them out. Okay, so that's great. So Annie, what do you think? Are we actually going to offer a reading tonight? I think we're way
I
over
think we're
time.
way over time.
So I don't know if anyone has sort of jumped out at you tonight. Did anyone's picture or face or anything jump out at you tonight where you just want to do a 3-card reading for one person? And I might have a look through chat and see if anyone jumps out at me, and we'll just pick 2 lucky people for the night. What do you think? Is that okay, everybody? Shelley, we can't wait to see you as well in Brizzy. They're looking forward to that. It's not far away.
Ooh, I've got 3 different sets of cards here, and I've got 10 different sets of cards here, but I'm going to use one of each. And I've popped into Vanessa Starfish because I like starfishes. They are glorious. So I'll do my 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's see what it says. Ooh, nice. Ooh. Okay, my lovely. Miss Vanessa, you are connected to a limitless source of creativity, abundance, and love. And around that, what I've got is expansion. Now, if you look at this glorious light, when you're meditating, I just feel it's really important for you to, as you're breathing in and breathing out, if you visualize, I would say a orange or yellow or a combination of both, and feel it getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, so that your aura is expanding and expanding and expanding. So I would say, like, fill the room, then fill the house, then fill your suburb, because this is just talking about expansion. And around all of this, it feels like you're just like this little flower that you're just ready to blossom. And the outcome around all of that is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
For you, that feels very much like it's freedom to be yourself and freedom to be who you are meant to be. Now, this card, it's interesting when I put it up here because it's actually a lady with a parasol. But when I hold it here, when I look at it this way, all I can see is an angel with wings. And that's that freedom. Freedom for you to grow and expand and to be all that you can be. So whatever it is that you're doing, Miss Starfish, keep doing it because you're on the right track.
And Kerrie Howes, you jumped out at me tonight. So I've drawn 3 cards for you. And the first card that has come out is the card, the Empress. Now, the Empress card, what Spirit's bringing through for you is you've been doing some self-nurturing, which has been a really good thing. Taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, and nurturing and sharing love with those around you. So you're really feeling connected, more connected and satisfied within yourself. So this is a great space that you're actually moving into, very much in tune with your own energy and very much feeling limitless potential within yourself. You're really starting to tap into that, is what they're saying to me. And I find that interesting that those are the words, because the next card that they brought up was this Wheel of Fortune, which means, this is the time to spin the wheel. You've got some great ideas coming in. You're birthing these new ideas as well as nurturing yourself. Trust in the inspiration that you're being given, because the Wheel of Fortune is here and it's going to bring a new energy and a new connection for you that's going to move you forward to a place of joy, happiness, and abundance. And the confirming card on the final message was this beautiful card here, the Nine of Pentacles. And what you can see is what you are wanting, what you are seeking in your life right now. It's right there. It's right there, and it's ready to be picked off the tree. It's ripe and ready. So just have faith that it's all happening for you. Have faith, hand it over to the universe, because it's all ready to come in. So there's some great things happening in this shift of energy for you, and it's all based on this connection back to yourself, nurturing yourself, and giving yourself that time to experience the moment and grow. So good on you. You go, girl. There you go.
Okay, my lovelies, we are done. Enjoy the rest of your Easter break. Have a nice day off tomorrow if you've got one. We will be back in a fortnight. Please like, share, and comment.
Yes, please. And if you're on YouTube, if I could ask a huge favor, and that is the comments in our chat here actually don't count. So when the video comes, if you could actually go under the video in YouTube and make a comment there, we would absolutely love it, because it really helps to have us come up as recommended to other people that enjoy this content. And we just love sharing this with as many people and having like-minded people join our little circle of friends here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah. Kerrie has her little exit video that I always forget.
I do.
So
here's
say bye-bye.
We will. And here's one I prepared earlier. Good night, everyone. Happy Easter.